everybody and welcome back to Dan the English Teacher. In today's exam series video, we're going to be taking a look at the Reading and Use of English Part 3 section of the B2 First or FCE exam paper. So before we go into the classroom, where we'll take a closer look at the Reading and Use of English Part 3 section, let's take a look at the structure. So the Reading and Use of English Part 3 section is often called word formation. It mainly focuses on vocabulary and tests your ability to form words using prefixes, suffixes, compounding, or internal changes. You will be given a text with 8 gaps, and you must change the stem word provided in capitals at the end of some of the lines to form the missing word in the same line. There are 8 questions in the Reading and Use of English Part 3 section and 8 marks, so that's 1 mark per question. Okay, so now we know the structure of the Reading and Use of English Part 3 section, let's go into the classroom and take a closer look. So welcome to the classroom, everyone. On the screen, you can see an example of a Reading and Use of English Part 3 section of the B2 First or FCE exam paper. So let's take a look now at the instructions. For questions 17 to 24, read the text below. Use the word given in capitals at the end of some of the lines to form a word that fits in the gap in the same line. There is an example at the beginning. Write your answers in capital letters on a separate answer sheet. So let's take a look at the example. So the text we've been given is about the blobfish. So let's read through the first sentence of the first paragraph because that contains the example and we can find out a little bit more about what it is we're being asked to do. So the first sentence reads, the blobfish is a deep sea fish and is, and then the gap, found off the coast of Australia and New Zealand. So the stem word we've been given is typical. And we actually have the answer because it's the example and it's just up here. It is the word typically. So the answer to this gap is typically. So what we've done there is we've added the suffix ly to the end of the word. And that's given us the answer typically. So before we continue with the rest of the text, I'd now like to show you a few other examples to give you a better idea of the kinds of things you should think about when changing the form of the stem word into the gap. So on the screen, you can see 5 sentences that look very similar to a Reading and Use of English Part 3 exam question. Now you've got the stem words on the right hand side in capitals and in each gap is a word in red. Now sadly all of the words in red are incorrect. I'd like you to pause the video, read through each sentence and the corresponding stem word and try to work out why each one is incorrect and what the correct answer should be. We'll then go through the answers together to check. Okay, so let's take a look then at each sentence and work out why each word is incorrect. So sentence 1 reads, the book was so unsuccessful that the author decided to write a sequel. Now, we've got the word unsuccessful and the stem word is success. So yeah, unsuccessful is a form of the word success. So that's okay. But the problem is that unsuccessful doesn't fit the sentence. And the reason it doesn't fit the sentence is because it's a negative word, when actually the meaning of the sentence is more positive. For example, it says that the author decided to write a sequel. That's a good thing, right? So actually, the correct word here should be successful rather than unsuccessful. So this has a positive meaning rather than a negative meaning. So for question 2, the sentence reads, the decoration of the house was simple but effective. And we've got the stem word effect. So again, effective is a word form of the stem word effect. So that's okay. But what's the problem here? Well, if you said that the spelling of effective is incorrect, then you are correct. So well done. It is an incorrect spelling here. Remember, you need to spell the words correctly. So the problem is with the letter A. It should actually read effective with the letter I. So question 3 reads, one of the organiser, Sam Johnson, said it was the best show ever. And our STEM word is organise. Now, this is almost correct because it correctly identifies that we need a person in this gap. But let's take a look at the first three words. One of the. Now, after the phrase one of the, do we use the singular or do we use the plural? Well, we actually use the plural. So in order to make this answer correct, we would have to add an S on the end. So the correct answer is one of the organisers, Sam Johnson, said it was the best show ever. So the correct answer is organisers. Question 4 reads, there were various of dishes on offer at the restaurant. So the STEM word vary, and various is an extension of the word vary, so that's okay, but it is incorrect in this sentence. So why is that? Well, various is the adjective form of vary. And if we take a look at the sentence again, do we need the adjective or do we need the noun form of the word? Well, we actually need the noun form. So if various is the adjective, what is the noun form of vary? So well done if you said variety. So the correct answer to question 4 is variety. And finally, question 5, which reads, I love eating broccoli, dislike my sister who hates it. And the STEM word of like. Now, like is a difficult one because there are so many different varieties of the word like. But let's have a look at the sentence and try and work out the meaning to see if that helps us. So the first part of the sentence is, I love eating broccoli. And then the second part is almost like a contrast. It says, my sister who hates it. So essentially what we're saying is, the sister is different from me. Or is not similar to me. Now, the word dislike actually means you don't like something, but we need a word that means different from or not similar to. And with like, the correct answer would be unlike. So in the context of the sentence, that would read, I love eating broccoli, unlike my sister who hates it. So we're now starting to see some of the things that we need to think about when completing each gap of the Reading and Use of English Part 3. So let's turn those into questions that you can use to help you check whether or not you have the right answer. 1. Do you need the negative or positive form of the word? 2. Is the word you've written spelt correctly? 3. Do you need to use the singular or plural form of the word? 4. What is the type of word that you need, such as an adjective, a noun, or an adverb, for example? And 5. Is the meaning of the word correct in the sentence? Okay, so let's go back to our text about the blobfish and go through, use some of those questions that we've just learned to help us work out what word is needed in each gap. Don't forget right now to pause the video and complete this text. Write an answer for each gap and we'll then go through it together and I'll give you the correct answers. Okay, so back to the text about the blobfish and let's read through the first paragraph again because it now contains gap 1. So the blobfish is a deep sea fish and is typically found off the coast of Australia and New Zealand. They're famous for having a rather unusual gap, leading them to be voted the world's ugliest animal in 2013. So what type of word do we need? Well, we need the noun form because we've got the article A and we've got the adjective unusual. So it's going to be the noun form. And our STEM word then is appear. So let's think about the context then. Well, it seems to be talking about what the blobfish looks like because it talks about them being voted the world's ugliest animal in 2013. So the noun form of the word appear that talks about what something looks like. So the correct answer for gap 1 is the word appearance. Now, calling the blobfish the world's ugliest animal is, in my opinion, a little bit unfair, but I'll let you decide for yourself. Okay, so gap 2, and we come into the second paragraph and it reads, their bodies don't really need bones. While this might be regarded as a gap, it isn't really an issue for them. So the stem word is weak. And again, because it sets up with an article here, so we know we need the noun form of the word weak. And the correct answer would be, in this case, weakness. Question 3, and we need to think a little bit carefully here. The blobfish swims at gap of between 600 and 1200 meters, and the stem word is deep. Now, we can't really add a prefix or a suffix to the word deep, so we're going to have to do something slightly different, and that is an internal change. So when we want to talk about the noun form of deep, we don't add a prefix or a suffix, but rather it changes to the word depth. Now, is that everything in this sentence? Well, the blobfish swims at depth of between 600 and 1200 meters. That still doesn't quite make sense because we don't have an article here, a, for example. If it said the blobfish swims at a depth of between 600 and 1200 meters, that might be okay, but we don't have that here. So it actually needs the plural form. So we need to say depths. So the correct answer to question 3 is depths. Now, depths is one example of what's known as an internal change to a word, and you may see this in the Reading and Use of English Part 3. So on the screen now, I've provided 4 more examples of internal changes. So again, pause the video, take a look, write your answers down, and we'll go through them together and I'll give you the correct answers. Okay, so let's have a look at the correct answers then. So for number 1, the table is approximately 1 meter in width. Number 2, the sheer height of the Burj Khalifa is very impressive. Number 3, the artist takes great pride in his work. And number 4, the teacher always makes her students feel at ease. So here are just some other examples of internal changes. So back to the text and question 4. Now, continuing on, the blobfish swims at depths of between 600 and 1200 meters, and the intense gap of the water gives them all the support they need. So again, I think we need a noun. We've got the article the, adjective intense, so it's going to be a noun, of the water. So the water is going to be quite a key word, I think, here. So the stem word is press. So talking about something that's intense, and we're talking about something that's related to water, or certainly connected to the word water. So an intense something of the water gives them all the support they need. And that's also key, gives something that gives support to something. And the correct answer to question 4 is pressure. Question 5, the blobfish hangs out right above the ocean floor for the purposes of, then the stem word is survive. So we don't need the person here, which would be survivor. So we need the noun form here. So for the purposes of, so the correct answer would be survival. Okay, we're doing really well. Question number 6, and this is the 3rd paragraph. Because of where they live, Gap haven't really been able to learn much about them. So this is pretty important information here. Haven't really been able to learn much about them. So it seems that we're talking about a person, but it uses the word haven't. So that is the plural form that we're needing. So we need to create a word from the stem word science that is a person, but in the plural form, so people. So that would mean the answer to question 6 is scientists. Question 7, and the text continues. Their lifespan and reproductive habits, for example, are gap to us. Okay, so this looks like it's connected back to the first sentence. So let's consider those two sentences as a whole. Because of where they live, scientists haven't really been able to learn much about them. Their lifespan and reproductive habits, for example, are gap to us. So we have the stem word know. And what is this talking about then? So it's kind of continuing on from the fact that scientists haven't been able to learn much about them. Therefore, for example, their lifespan and reproductive habits, we don't know about them. So we need a word that means the same as we don't know. But again, the form of the word is the adjective now that we need here. So in order to form the adjective of using the stem word know that means something similar to we don't know, it would be unknown. So the sentence reads, their lifespan and reproductive habits, for example, are unknown to us. So the correct answer for question 7 is unknown. And finally, question 8. Well done if you've made it this far, and thank you ever so much for watching. So the last question and the last sentence reads, that being said, the blobfish has become one of the most recognizable creatures in the world and can be found on t-shirts, memes, and even in songs. Oh, it's really an incredible animal, I think, the blobfish. Okay, so the stem word is instant. And we actually need an adverb here to support the words recognizable creatures. And to form the adverb of the word instant, you simply add ly. So the correct answer would be instantly. So I hope you found that video useful in your preparation for the Reading and Use of English Part 3 section of the B2 First or FCE exam paper. I've left the answers on the screen here so you can pause the video and check again if you need to. But in the meantime, good luck in the B2 First or FCE exam. Thank you ever so much for watching. Do consider hitting the subscribe button as well. Do leave your comments in the comments section below. And don't forget to check out other videos in the exam series. Take care and see you next time.